Who is getting automatically promoted from the EFL Championship this season? Hello guys, welcome back to yet another video. Today we are doing a deep dive into the automatic promotion race, the fight for first and in particular second place. Before we get into today's video and dive into some of the stats and numbers and things to look out for in the automatic promotion race, comment down below your two teams to be automatically promoted this season. If you are feeling extra lucky as well, do comment down below who you think will also win the Championship playoffs. Tell us your three teams to go up from the Championship to the Premier League this season down in the comments, but in particular the top two. So like I say guys, today is a real specific look at the top two in particular. Last week we spoke about the playoff race. This week we're really focusing in on the automatic promotion race. The final thing to do before we get into things is make sure you've supported this video by dropping a like. It is free to do and we'll go for 550 likes on this video. Hit that thumbs up button if you like your EFL Championship content, and do make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you subscribe, you will see all of our videos when they are released. Myself and Sophie will have Championship predictions with you tomorrow and FA Cup predictions for you the day after in a very busy schedule coming over the next week and a half. So then, as you can see, I've got the Championship table listed beside me here. This is the top 11 teams. Now, as I say, we're really going to focus in on the top two discussion, the teams getting automatically promoted. So first and second place is where we're really going to look, and at the teams just below that. One of the first things you will pick up on when you look at this Championship table is the gap here between 4th place Leeds United and 5th place West Bromwich Albion, a 9-point gap. Now, the reason we're still going to give a brief mention to the teams 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th is it is technically possible they could get top two this season. These teams are not going to be the focus of today's discussion, and I would imagine most of them will just be happy with securing a playoff place, but we will just mention them as it is mathematically possible. Another thing you will pick up on this table beside me here is that Leicester City and Ipswich Town both have a game in hand on everyone else, and of course that is being played out tonight. This video is being recorded on the Monday and released on the Monday. If you are watching this video after Monday, then you will know how this game played out, and I think it'd be an understatement of me to say it's a pretty big game. Let's dive into some of the more detailed numbers now. So one thing I am intrigued to see this season is how many points will be required at the end of the season to have made second place. Now, on average, this is just an average over the last few years in the Championship, if you get to 90 points, you probably get top two. Based on the points per game these teams are picking up in the top four and in the top three in particular, it's all pointing towards a very high tide and a higher bar required to get second place this season. If we just take every team in this top 11's points per game from the season so far and use it to play out what they'd pick up in the second half of the season, then this is what the teams would land on at the end of the season. Of course, with Ipswich Town's game in hand, they are jumping ahead of Southampton here, with them both starting off on the same points. You can see that Leicester City would get to 110 points and Ipswich Town would get to 98 points if they continue to pick up the points at the rate they have done so far this season in the latter stages of this season. Now, the reason today's video title is who will get second place this season is because, in my opinion, although it's not mathematically certain, I do think Leicester City will go up, and if they don't win the league, they could come second, of course, but given the fact that they've got the game in hand tonight and that points cushion they've already got over second, third and fourth, I would imagine Leicester City should get first place, but like I say, it's the Championship, anything can happen. So as you can see, Ipswich Town have needed to get 98 points to finish ahead of Southampton, who had 95 points. Of course, Ipswich have finished higher here because they have the game in hand tonight against Leicester City. Leeds United will get an impressive 89 points, but still be 9 points short of second place, which just goes to show, as I say, how crazy it is, the standard that this top 3 or 4 are set in. After that, there is a considerable gap to West Brom, a 15-point gap. West Brom finished 5th, Coventry finished 6th, Hull City finished 7th. Of course, everyone else who's played the same amount of games will finish roughly where they are in the table right now. Now, don't worry, Southampton fans, I already know what you're saying or thinking about this table right now. What about form? Well, let's take form into consideration for this next one. Here is the Championship form table over the last 12 game weeks in the Championship, and as you can see, Southampton are the best best formed team. I mean, even if you look at it over the last 15 games, Southampton are still top. They haven't lost in 20 plus games, which is absolutely ridiculous. Leicester City and Coventry City pretty strong up there as well. What's quite interesting is out of these teams in the top 11, you can see Sunderland quite low down on the form table over the last 12 games. Ipswich Town with the worst form out of the top 4 over the last 12 games, albeit it's only 1 point worse than Leeds United, so I am really nitpicking there. But if we now use the form table and the rate of points picked up over the last 12 games by every Championship team and play it out over the rest of the season, this is the Championship table we'd get. As you can see, Leicester City winning the league again, this time with 106 points, but the most important thing here, the biggest movers, would be Southampton, up to 100 points, which is ridiculous. I don't think we've ever seen a season where two teams have gone past triple digits, which is just sublime. Ipswich Town racking up an impressive 93 points, but still coming up 7 points short is crazy. Leeds United once again getting to 89 points, and Coventry City a big mover here with their brilliant form over the last 12 games. If we can keep it up, we'd get to 5th place, but still nowhere near 2nd place because of the rate of points that Southampton and Leicester are still picking up. After that, you can see West Brom hold on to the final playoff place, and then Norwich just fall short with a few more teams just below them in the 60s when it comes to points. So then, like I say, that's just looking at the points per game from the season so far and the form table to get a rough guide of what you might need this season. Now, by no means do I think anyone's going to need to get 100 points to wrap up top 2. While it's mathematically possible, I just can't see that being the case. Leeds United fans will argue that they could come into the better form now and Southampton might struggle to maintain their form, and I do think that's possible. Meanwhile, Ipswich Town, they're a pretty tricky one to put your finger on at the moment. Will they get a result against Leicester City tonight? Will they hold on to 2nd place? Will they fall away and not be in the discussion in the latter stages of the season? We simply do not know. So then, moving on to the next thing, having looked at previous seasons and the points required to get a top 2 place and looking at projections for what the points could be to get 2nd place this season, my head is telling me about 94 points will just get you 2nd place. Now, take that number with a pinch of salt. You might need 96 points, you might need just 91 points, but given the standard this top 4 have been setting for a large portion of this season now, I can't see more than one of them dropping away. It would take 2 teams to really drop away to lower the bar for 2nd place, because if 3 teams continue to be strong, then the fight for 2nd keeps going up and up and up. So with my rough estimate of 94 points being enough to get you 2nd place, this is the requirements for each of the teams in the top 6 or 7 to get 2nd place come the end of the season. Leicester City in their final 19 games would just have to get a minimum of 8 more wins with 5 more draws to probably just wrap up an automatic place, and that leaves a bit of wiggle room with 6 defeats as well. Southampton have to keep up some good levels here, 11 wins over the next 18 games to get to 94 points, and it does allow 4 defeats, and remember, Southampton haven't lost in over 20 games. Ipswich Town are allowed 1 extra defeat. They're on the same points as Southampton, but coming into tonight have that extra game in hand, which is against Leicester City, of course. Leeds United will have to be very impressive, would need to get a minimum of about 12 wins with possibly 4 draws, and that would take them to 94 points, as I say. And then after that, you can see the big drop here. West Brom would need to win 16 out of 18. Coventry City would be allowed just 1 more defeat, and Hull City would be allowed 1 more draw, plus they'd have to win 17. After that, everyone else would have to win 18 out of 18 to have a chance, and as I say, that still might not be enough. It could be higher than 94 points, but that is my rough estimate. I will allow a little bit of leeway and say I think it could be 93 to 95. I'll say a 2-point spread there, but I do think it'll be the low to mid 90s to get automatics. Now, the reason I have still included the likes of Hull City, Coventry City and West Bromwich Albion is it just highlights how good they'd have to be to have a chance, and as I say, this still wouldn't definitely secure them anything. It was just my rough guide. And as I say, the reason I've highlighted this is on the way back from Hillsborough on Saturday, I did hear a Coventry City fan calling into Talk Sport, and he was saying to Jason Cundy and Gabby Agbonlahor that he reckons Coventry City can get 2nd place this season. Now, as I say, of course, it's not mathematically impossible at this moment in time, but this does highlight how difficult it would be to do that. So I do think, while it's definitely not mathematically impossible, we can consider the teams below 4th in the table out of this. As I say, if you're a West Brom, Coventry, Hull and Norwich fan and your expectations are realistic, top 6 would be an incredible achievement. When a gap opens up that's 9 or 10 points in a promotion race, it's very difficult to close that down. While in a relegation battle it's not easy, the pace is much slower. The points per game being churned on by the other teams down there is less than that of an automatic promotion race. As I've highlighted before, down the bottom of the table it's snail racing, and at the top of the table it's F1 racing, and if you are a few laps behind the pace setters, the chances are you're not going to overtake them and beat them. The next thing I wanted to look at are some key dates throughout the rest of this season. First of all, you can see in January, tonight, we've got the Leicester City versus Ipswich Town game, which is absolutely massive. After that, we've got a pretty scattered and broken up fixture list over the FA Cup 4th round weekend. Still 14 teams in action over the next week and a bit in the Championship, despite the FA Cup action. And as I say, tomorrow myself and Sophie will have our predictions. On Wednesday, Leeds United take on in-form Norwich City, and then the Tuesday after, Coventry City take on Bristol City, which will give Coventry City the chance to overtake West Brom and go 5th in the table, and Leicester City have a home game against Swansea City. The Leeds United game against Norwich and the Leicester City game against Swansea, really need to take advantage of those games if you support Leeds or Leicester, because you're at home and the other teams like Southampton and Ipswich will have their fixtures to be caught up on in late February. When it comes to February, there is a big weekend on the 10th of February. As you can see, Ipswich Town take on West Bromwich Albion, who are 5th in the Championship. West Brom are one of the few teams that have beaten Ipswich this weekend, and it's on the same weekend Leeds United host Rotherham and Southampton host Huddersfield, both of them hosting teams in the bottom 4 of the division, which they really will fancy their chances to win. Is that going to be a decisive weekend where teams overtake other teams? We will wait and see. On the 23rd of February, there's a big game between Leeds United and Leicester City. Leeds United are one of the few teams to have beaten Leicester this season when they won at the King Power. Will Leicester City be the first team to win at Ellen Road? We will see. On the 16th of March, you've got Leicester City versus Southampton. That is also a very big game. On the 1st of April, we've got Ipswich Town versus Southampton, which is absolutely huge. And on that same weekend, Leeds United take on playoff chasers Hull City, who could be in the playoffs at that time. It could be a really big game between the two Yorkshire sides there. On the 6th of April, we've got Coventry City versus Leeds. And on the same weekend, we've got the East Anglian derby between Norwich City and Ipswich Town. That could be absolutely massive. And as you can see, on the final day of the season, the 4th of May, Leeds versus Southampton. Now, as a neutral when it comes to those two, I am praying that there is no gap more than 3 points between those two heading into that game. And on the same weekend, we must mention Ipswich Town take on Huddersfield Town. If Ipswich Town are still involved in the top 2 discussion and Huddersfield Town need a result to stay up on the final day, that could also be a blockbuster at Portman Road. Some big games coming through the rest of this season. How will it play out? Let me know down in the comments. So then, as I say, that is a breakdown of the top 2 race, going through some of the numbers and some of the key fixtures coming up. With Southampton, their form is fantastic. I think Russell Martin has settled in nicely now. They've got good players. I like the way they play. And you've got to fancy them at this moment in time with the form they're in. That said, they've still got to go away to Leicester, Ipswich and Leeds. So those 3 in particular are going to be very big games. Leicester City, I do think will get over the line. As for Ipswich Town, they're the team I'm most unsure about. That's not me being negative towards them. I just think they're the hardest team to put your finger on at the moment because of the form hasn't been as good recently, but they've still had a very good start to the season. They haven't got the same power and depth in squad as the other 3 up there because they've all come down from the Premier League. But I still think Ipswich Town are very much in the discussion. Leeds United were my original pick from the start of the season to get top 2 with Leicester, and they're still in the discussion. They got that late winner against Preston last time, and you just wonder if that goal could be crucial come the end of the season. Leeds United just need to keep themselves within at least 3 points distance of Southampton heading into that final game. And finally, with the teams like West Bromwich Albion, Coventry, Hull, Norwich, Watford, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, while it is still mathematically possible, playoffs has got to be the aim. If we get to the next 5 or 6 weeks and any of those teams have won 5 or 6 in a row and the gap has shut somewhat, then maybe we can mention them in a bit more of a realistic fashion. But like I say, even with the likes of Coventry in such good form, we're not making up much ground on the second place when Southampton are still in better form. So then share your predictions, like I say, say down in the comments. Let me know who your top 2 are, who's getting automatically promoted, and go on, who's going to win the playoffs as well. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe. It is free to do and it is massively appreciated. I will see you in the next video. Peace out.